Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the Doctor himself.
Hello.
Each week, we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners just like you. And today, we have a guest. Actor, producer, host, comedian, master, Lacretia Lyon.
Thank you guys for adding the master part after I made a bit.
It's weird, actually. I had already written it down, and I just intuitively
I'm
knew.
the master of the dark arts, because the reason I love John Constantine is we're very much alike.
Ooh.
A twofold expert on this show. That's too many. That's 2 times more expertise than we usually bring to the table. Well, we thank you for agreeing to come on and talk about Constantine and stuff. Do you want to maybe start by giving the listeners a bit of your background with comic books? Have you always been into them? Were you always into Constantine, or is it a thing you sort of came to later?
Oh, yeah. So Constantine's solo series Hellblazer debuted the year I was born. So it was just kismet. I mean, and it was one of those things that I always liked more Jesse Custer, John Constantine, or Batman and a lot of iterations growing up, because my dad was a big nerd. And his were Green Arrow and The Flash. And so when we go to my dad's house, that would be what we'd read. But I was like, I liked them, but I didn't really relate to them like I did, more a John Constantine, or, as I said, a Jesse Custer, kind of like the anti-hero, because, I feel like I've always been sort of a reluctant leader, fine, I'll do it. And so I liked their attitude. And it's just because it's like anyone who thinks being a hero is cool has never really read a comic book. Their lives suck ass.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, how old were you when you sort of jumped ship from things like Green Arrow and the Flash to Constantine? Were you like a 13-year-old who was like, I see myself as the anti-hero?
Oh God, it was even before that, because I was into witchcraft when I was in the 4th grade. So when I was 10, I swear to God, I burned down Mazio's pizza. They shouldn't put pepperoni under the cheese. I'm sorry.
That's true.
That is true, yeah.
Yeah, blasphemy.
Yeah, I was very much an adult in a child's body for most of my life. So yeah, my interest in Constantine came in elementary school, when I was really into Buffy. And that was sort of the thing, is he was an extension of Buffy to me.
Sure, yeah.
Is because I'm this dude Spike is basically just John Constantine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, weird. I didn't even think about that, but that's totally true. I mean, Spike's hot. I don't know about this Constantine, but...
Oh, Constantine was drawn after Sting, so yeah, he's hot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he can sting me.
Oh, Constantine, he can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's bisexual. He can literally get anyone.
Ooh, daddy thick.
I don't know why they don't, accept my pitches for Constantine and Batman relationships. If the CW would do him and Malcolm Merlyn, that's the devil. That would be a sexy relationship.
Just to get Matt Ryan and John Barrowman in a room together?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's awesome. Okay, so then a child views themselves as the anti-hero, super into witchcraft and John Constantine. As you are growing up and entering the world of comedy and sort of entertainment and things like that, have comic books how have they stuck with you, and has your taste evolved, or have you doubled, tripled down on that sort of the occult sort of segment of superheroes?
Yeah, as I say, I'm very, I guess because I felt like an adult as a child, I've never really swayed in my love of Constantine or really anything. I mean, I pretty well like the same things. And I do credit, John Constantine is, I sort of helped get the character, because I kept talking about it, to get him on Legends of Tomorrow when I was with AfterBuzz TV.
Right.
And, I was on all the DC shows, and I just kept talking, and I would talk to some of the writers. So, here's the thing: is we're intertwined even in our careers of me being like, no, this is the greatest character. You guys need to get it back. Matt Ryan's portrayal was perfect. Let's give it another chance, sort of thing. And two, that's sort of what gave me notice. So, like, yeah, I feel like, yeah, I'm stuck with John Constantine. And he's done me well. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, we work well together.
Oh, I like the idea too of like, you know, paying it back to a character that you've grown up loving. It's like, no, like, guys, like, bring him back, put him on this show, like, trying to give him a break. No.
Yeah, it's like, as I say, I was very vocal about Ash, you know, and Ash versus Evil Dead too. I mean, like, you know, you speak about what you love in Lucifer, and it's, you know, worked 2 out of 3 times, so I think it's pretty good.
Well, I mean, so kind of on that note then, you know, to sort of sidestep a little bit, was there anything about the sort of the stuff that you loved, like Constantine or Buffy or things like that? Like, is that what sort of put you on the trajectory and the career path that you're on? You know, because to end up sort of working in that industry or sort of, you know, like alongside those properties and those people and those sort of creations, like, was that because you loved those things, or was that just another sort of kismet kind of happening?
Well, yes and no, because it was one of those things where I've always been a fan of media, because I grew up in the Bible Belt liking these things and being like the one pagan family, like, and everybody. So, like, there was always this level of, like, interest in being, you know, different and outsider and wanting to do this, like, because, you know, as I say, I grew up watching comedy and stuff, too, with this. So, like, Dennis Leary, Adam Carolla, these people I looked up to, as well as John Constantine. So, but as I say, like, you know...
It's quite well in that group, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm, like, very similar to a character. And that was the thing, is he was funny. And I always sort of wanted to be, you know, a comedian. But, like, I went through really weird career trajectories and things like that until I got here. But I do think that this is one of the many reasons that I am here. I mean, and certainly the reason that anybody listens to what I have to say.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, like I said, we're super pumped that you wanted to come on the show. This was your pitch, your idea. We've talked about Constantine a lot off the top, but that's because the theme of this episode, your idea, was to talk about John Constantine. And I've got to say, I mean, we get lots of questions from people on a lot of different subjects, but as soon as we put out that you were going to be on the show and we were talking Constantine, we got flooded with
I know,
with questions.
That tag, and I'm like, I like that. That's why I, you know, told the, you know, kids out there that, you know, to answer their one question about is smoking cool, it's like, yes it is, kids.
Absolutely.
If you're hot and have bleached blonde hair, then absolutely.
Yeah. Like, you have to. Like,
can you,
especially smoking weed.
Oh, well, yeah.
Obviously, we're Canadian. We get down.
Yeah, we smoke all the weeds.
I love that y'all are Canadian. I was like, I love the abouts because, as I say, I really only date Canadians, so I'm like, I feel
really,
you guys, yeah.
Is it actually that noticeable?
Oh, like, for me, because I'm a big fan of Canada, and I watch, like, hockey and Letterkenny, like, Trailer Park Boys, all of it. Like, as I say, I'm one of those people that loves Canada and Canadians.
I feel like it's a mistake I did not bring you up for the comedy festival this year, and I feel sad. Do you know who our headliner is?
No, who is it?
It's K. Trevor Wilson from Letterkenny.
Oh, wow. I know. I'd love to come to the comedy festival. Yeah,
oh, man.
Like,
that's
Kyle Clark got me into Letterkenny, and I'm like, dude, like, this is like my ex-boyfriend's story.
It's all coming together now, because the only other American that, like, really points out our accent to us is Kyle Clark.
And the only other one who I know loves Letterkenny that much. That's so funny.
It's like, I mean it as a compliment. It's like, you know, people are like, when you drink more, you get more Texan, and I'm like, yeah, like that.
I mean, that's definitely, I do know that the drinking brings it out more. That's when I start to, like, I lean real hard on the R's.
Oh yeah, hey, don't you know?
Oh, fucking right.
See, and that's so adorable. I'm like, why do people think that's weird? I'm like,
It's true. The Americans sound like badass, and British people sound really intelligent. We sound adorable.
Yeah. It's cute.
I think we sound chill.
Like Texan. Yeah. Oh no, I was like, Canadians are nice, and they all know how to drink. So, like, who cares?
We're drinking right now, actually, 10.5% beer.
Hey, the winter's long.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's why they know what to do. I mean, it's like you just keep drinking. And they have the good beer, because I wish I was drinking Canadian beer, but I just sadly have this Bud Light 40 because that's all I can.
Oh, that's so sad.
It could be worse. It could be a lime.
It's amazing. Oh, what are y'all drinking?
It's a local beer from Winterlong Brewery. It's it's literally the strongest beer I've ever had.
It's called Divine Intervention.
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm gonna have to get that. Because I love local beers. That's what I always drink when I go places.
It's just like 10.5 is such a strong amount.
Oh yeah, because like Le Fin du Monde is pretty strong. Only at and I think it's only like 9.
Oh, I love Le Fin du Monde.
Yeah, that one's one of my favorites.
Oh man, we could just screw it. Beer episode.
Never mind. The theme is beer. Yeah.
I'm like, that's my favorite subject. Actually, it's like.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah.
That's why I feel ashamed that I'm drinking this Bud Light 40, but budget's tight till the end of the month.
hey, we get it.
I hear that. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into these questions because we've got so many.
Yeah,
we've got a lot to get through.
All right. Hopefully, I can answer some, except you smoking cool.
Well, the first place we're going is Facebook.
Go to the face, said the book. Go to the Facebook.
Oh wow, you're really not really hiding behind that theme song there.
No,
Doc.
I thought I was going out there. I'm less embarrassed than I was the last time.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I love theme songs.
We've got them.
There's so many.
We've got
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it started with like segment theme songs, then it was like platforms. Now it's like every fan has one. It's getting insane. So be prepared.
Yeah, I just sing over like Alice Cooper karaoke like for mine. So like that was like pretty good production.
That's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna start doing that. All right. Well, the first question comes from Gordon Rugg, who asks, "I've read a lot of the Hellblazer series and his appearances with Swamp Thing, and my question is,
Swamp Thing.
Yeah, Swamp. You make my Swamp Thing."
No.
And his question is, Constantine actually powerful, or is he more just someone who gets lucky? I feel most of his victories are won by dumb luck, resourcefulness, and small loopholes, and not necessarily through use of magic. He's one of my favorite characters, and I'm not dissing him. Just wondering if my question seems valid.
Oh yeah, and that is sort of the thing, and that's what I sort of love about John Constantine is like he is very knowledgeable about what he's knowledgeable about, and he is a good sorcerer and master of the dark arts. But most of his victories really are from the fact that he outsmarts people versus being actually powerful.
Yeah, which I mean, like you don't criticize.
Yeah, that's how Batman or Green Arrow is
exactly.
too, so,
yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think there is an element to him being lucky too. If I'm remembering correctly, there's some part of the Hellblazer series where you learn that he's descendant from, what do they call them? Like the Laughing Mages or something. They're people who have some sort of like, they're sort of in their lineage, they are notorious for like tricking gods and demons and for sort of stumbling into victory or kind of exploiting loopholes, like things that Gordon brings up in this question. So I think it's actually like in his blood, like in his lineage, just to be, he's kind of this like, he's almost like a trickster, like a, I mean,
Loki or like, a Winchester.
Oh
wow! You really know what podcast
you just said the magic words. That's
Winchester.
It's true. No, but honestly, it was so funny because we say trickster in general, and trickster actually is something that shows up on Supernatural. So there we go.
Yeah.
As I say, Loki, and like, what did they change it to? Like he was Gabriel. Like
that's right. Yeah, they constantly were changing that.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to both though, because I think there are also instances where Constantine pulls off like crazy amounts of power and crazy wins. Like I think he is a really powerful sorcerer, but he also knows when he's not powerful enough that he's got to like kick sand in their eye. Like he's got to do like the blood sport thing, like the cheat to win.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question, which comes from old Chicken Matty, Matthew Poulter, who asks, what do you think has kept John such a consistently popular character, while other edgy anti-heroes of his era are looked at with a lot more eye rolls and mockery?
Sure. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on? There's lots of like gritty anti-heroes are like, I'm not the hero kind of
he's a very like mid to late 80s, like early 90s type of like edgy character, but they really, I feel like he's really aged quite well.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I think it's I was just gonna say, I think it's the trench coat, and whenever you put a trench coat on a character, they just literally have lasting power.
It's Castiel.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Castiel basically wears the same outfit. And they made a joke in the
That's
300th
right.
episode. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm just more and more am falling in love with Lucretia, and I'm Canadian, so I'm already her type. I think.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Thinking way too highly of yourself.
As I take off my wedding ring.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's lots of those sort of like anti-hero sort of characters, and like there's like the 90s version of like Vigilante or Fate, or like some of these ones that like we make fun of, like Azrael Batman and things like that. We like to shit on some of those characters from that sort of like Liefeld kind of era that sort of, they were too extreme, to use a Liefeld reference, and sort of fell by the wayside. But for some reason, Constantine doesn't do that, and I wonder if it's because his version of anti-hero isn't that he's not like fighting the system. He just like doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and that's what I say is his biggest charm, is that he gives no fucks whatsoever, and like, you know, he just really owns who he is. With a lot of the anti-heroes over the years, like, there've been here or there where they weren't really like, you know, themselves. And I think it really takes from it. But Constantine has always just been, as I say, basically like Spike, but before Spike was Spike.
Yeah. and I think Constantine is also missing that element of like that weird sort of hyper violent masculinity that's in a lot of those other sort of anti-heroes. He's not like senselessly like hopped up on testosterone or something like that, right? Like that's another like big difference, is that he's just like a guy trying to live his life, and like shit happens to him and he has to find a way out or around it.
And the fact that he is bisexual and very much an effeminate man, as opposed to, like you say, very more hypersexual guys, which is a little bit more palatable because men and women can relate to him that way.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, you tap into a bigger audience. You just like as a business, it's a better call. Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Sometimes I make things that sound smart.
But I think that is a big part of it. I think there's also something to the fact that like Constantine is just like, I'm gonna say this and try not to sound creepy while saying it, but it's inherent to the word. He's like got a sensuality to him. Creepiest word I can think of.
Sting, and wasn't Sting really the modern tantric sex guru?
Yeah, take that to the Far East. It's a white British guy.
Yeah, Doc, why don't you stop rubbing your nipples while you say that, please?
Well, I'm just thinking about Sting now, so.
Oh, that's true. All right, let's go to the next question. Now, this is a tough one, and I've done some research on this, and I have literally no idea what this guy's talking about. But maybe Lacretia has some information. Maybe this guy just misspelled. Maybe the fans are going to have to help us out with this one. But this question comes from Michael O'Brien, who asks, he says, just going to throw it out there. I enjoy Earth K Constantine for what it was. Now, I have no idea what Earth K is.
I have scoured my comics and my notes and the internet at large to find Earth K Constantine, and I literally do not know.
Does this sound at all familiar to you?
No.
Like,
I'm like, but to be honest, I'm not a big reader anymore. Like, so like it could be in a book. I'm not saying like, because I'm not going to say I'm the expert, especially when it comes to the comics, but.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind calling out our audience. We can just call him an idiot. That's fine.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Like, but I'm not saying he's wrong, because as I say, I'm not a big reader anymore. As an adult, I'm like, you know what? The internet makes these things shorter, and people can just read them to me.
Because this is a
rare instance where I'm like 100% stumped. But so that we don't completely not answer the question in some form, there is like a relatively recent run, pretty mainstream in terms of like being more of like a superhero comic, where Constantine ends up on Earth 2. And that was during the New 52. He gets sort of mystically transported to Earth 2 while they are fighting Apocalypse and their Earth is being destroyed. And he uses his magic to actually like rescue a bunch of people from Earth 2 and bring those like refugees to the Prime Earth, to Earth 0, where he is. That's
to me, that doesn't even sound like John Constantine. He saved a bunch of people like on purpose.
well,
like,
yeah, that New 52 era where they like folded him 100% into like the main superhero universe with Superman and that, they treated him more like a magic superhero. And it wasn't until a bit later that they found a good way to balance that he like lives in a world with Superman, but is not Superman.
Yeah, I really think the animated movie Justice League Dark sort of did a really good job of like explaining where Constantine fits in that universe. It was like, yep, that works. Like, because we have Batman in there, but it's just like, oh no, this guy. Like,
yeah. There's a certain level of disdain for like the Cape and Cowl crew. Yeah. So I mean, there is Constantine on Earth 2 is totally a thing. He travels dimensions and things like that all the time. I mean, one of his earlier appearances is during Crisis on Infinite Earths, where he teams up with Swamp Thing and Zatara and Zatanna and Sargon the Sorcerer and a bunch of other magicians to try to fight this great darkness. And that's when Zatara is killed and Zatanna blames him for it. There's lots of that kind of stuff that happens, so he is sort of tied to that stuff. But yeah, Earth K, I'm so sorry. I honestly have no idea what that's referencing.
Yeah, you know what? If
I'm going to go on record, I'm 100% stumped.
If any of you residents out there have any idea what this is, please reach out to us, because I
would love to learn.
106 episodes in, somehow the Doctor gets stumped, and then this is one for the record. So I'm definitely curious.
That's
to
it.
see
This is the last episode of the podcast.
Yeah, wow, you have no choice now. Yeah, it was the longest episode of Beat the Geek.
I should have stopped after the last episode, but my pride got the better of me.
Yeah, Icarus flew a little too close to the sun. All right,
Dr. House was wrong sometimes. So.
Yes, that's every once in a while. Yeah,
that's true. I didn't even test for lupus.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll wait for you're gonna go home and you're gonna abuse drugs, and you'll come back tomorrow and you'll know what the answer is. That's the
that's the formula.
I'm at home and abusing drugs right now.
That's
I'm already halfway there.
We'll have the answer in about 20 minutes.
That's right. Well, it'll feel like 20 minutes, but it'll be much longer.
Sure.
Right, all right. We're leaving Facebook. We're heading on over to Twitter.
Twitter.
Are you okay?
Yes, I made it. I actually made it through.
Yeah, you did. I'm impressed.
Sometimes I trip over that one because it's been a long time since I was in theater school and I did all of my vocal warm-ups.
Red, yellow, what is
Red
it?
leather,
Red,
yellow leather.
yeah.
Lion face. Lion face.
Yep.
I mostly only know that from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Oh man!
Wow.
Damon and Ben Affleck doing it. So
They just started filming the reboot.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that. Like Federal Marshal Willenholly is one of the greatest characters of all time.
Yeah, and Dogma. Like what an incredible movie.
Without a doubt. So you bring up Constantine. There's no way that you don't talk about the most famous, I think, Constantine series of books. Our first question comes from our favorite sexy space texter, Cosmic DM, who asks, since Hellblazer has like 21 volumes, are there any stories or arcs that stick out to you or that you consider must reads?
It's a good question, and I'm really trying to think because and I think much like Supernatural, like the show, is why Constantine and Hellblazer sort of stuck around too. And like, because there are a few big things here or there, but overall, it's just a pretty even keel book that's just like, yep, I'm magic and I'm badass and I'm gonna save this thing. And so like, as far as big stories, I mean, of course, there's the overarching, like, Astra theme or whatever, and there's some cool villains here or there, but there's not even really a definitive villain in Constantine. And I think that's what makes the book last so long as far as the Hellblazer series. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty well just, and it's something you can jump in and get what's going on at any time. Like, you don't even have to start at book 1.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll give the slightly obvious answer of you should read the story called Original Sins, which
which
sort of highlights the Newcastle incident and things like that. There's a bit of Swamp Thing in there, which is kind of an important relationship, because I think it's right at the end of that story where Swamp Thing realizes that he can possess John and use him to impregnate his wife.
Yeah, dude, anything with Swamp Thing is just pretty awesome. I do love Swamp Thing.
Yeah, so that's in there. And then I've mentioned it before, but if you've seen the movie and you're like, oh, this is kind of a story I'm into, it's loosely based on a story called Dangerous Habits, which is about like kind of John confronting mortality a little bit. It involves his smoking habits, and which we've established is very cool.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that he gets cancer, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And I would say that's definitely my favorite story, and that was the reason I really did like the movie. Like, Keanu Reeves pretty well plays Keanu Reeves, which is great. I love Keanu Reeves. Again, half Canadian.
That's right.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. But yeah, and it's the anniversary. It came out in 2005. But yeah, I think they picked a good movie, like a good story to make the movie about. And like, you know, overall it's really fun and it really captured the essence of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd put that up there. There's lots of stuff. It is such like a huge series, but those are the two that always stick out to me, because I think they're the two that if you're going to do like a Constantine story for like a cartoon or for a comic, and you just need people to like get the sense of him, what are like the two big pieces you need? You need what happened in Newcastle, like that he's like, he messed something up and he carries that guilt. He is a little bit a person that cares what happens to the people that he's involved with. And, a little bit. And then also like, that he is constantly finding like these loopholes out of death. Like those are like the two big sort of anchor points to me, at least, of Constantine. So those stories make sense to me.
I think like Haunted is also a really great story.
Oh,
when you get when you get Joshua Wright, who's like a magician that uses his ex-girlfriend in like a horror Babylon type of thing.
Yeah, that's
a great story. I think any of those would be really, really well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then to the next question, which comes from Brandon's got a few questions. Some people, like, when they heard about John Constantine, got real stoked. So we got a few questions from a few of these people. But this one comes from Brandon M. Flick, who asks, is there a definitive take on the character for you, like a single story or writer and or artist that you would hold up as an example of everything you need to know of John?
Well, I think you just got to go back to basics and just say Alan Moore. I mean, Alan Moore created John Constantine out of Swamp Thing. I mean, and that's where he first appeared. It wasn't until years later, really, that he got, you know, Hellblazer and really became his own character.
It's true.
But yeah, I mean, Alan Moore is the one. And two, the thing is, John Constantine has stayed the same. I mean, like, yeah, he wasn't.
That's true. They haven't really changed that much about him as a general character, I think.
Other than that sort of brief blip in the New 52 where they tried to make him more superhero-y.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, yeah, you're right. He's been pretty consistent.
People have been pretty faithful to that original Alan Moore run.
Yeah.
The interesting thing too is that like Moore introduced Constantine. He's sort of this side character in Swamp Thing, but he's this magician that knows more about Swamp Thing than Swamp Thing does. Like, I think people forget that, like, Constantine is the character that teaches Swamp Thing about the Parliament of Trees, about his connection to the Green, like, all of these, like, big, major ideas that we take for granted in Swamp Thing about, like, being an avatar and all that kind of stuff. Like, Constantine was the window to that. He was a character that was there through all of those sort of, like, revelations, which is sort of, it's kind of outrageous, actually, that like Swamp Thing didn't even make these discoveries himself. It was like Constantine was like, I know how this works.
And I think I've always been a big fan of Swamp Thing because, too, it early on had other mediums like television and movies. So, like, there was the Swamp Thing cartoon and, like, the Swamp Thing movie with Ray Wise, who I just love. So, yeah, like, you know, for me, Swamp Thing was definitely a big draw. And I think that's where I, you know, had initially fallen in love with John Constantine, where it's just like, this is the guy telling him who he is. And this is the guy that's known for just being there and being smart. He doesn't have any superpowers. He's just actually pretty clever.
Well, and that's sort of like, that's also part of John's, like, get out of jail free thing is he's always got to be the guy that like knows the dirt on other people. Not necessarily in the Batman way where he's super prepared, but in like the blackmail way. like John always has something on someone. Like, I need something from you, but I've got something you need. And like, he's always sort of bartering, making deals, like that's also sort of iconically Constantine.
He feels like one of the most grounded characters despite the world around him. I find that he feels the character you can attach yourself to the most because he's the most like human of a character who's clearly not that, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's dealing with demons and angels and stuff like that, but he's a grifter. Like, he's
yeah, like, and I guess because my dad was a bit of a con man, and to me, being a comedian is very much like that. It's like grifting your way into getting things.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
That's definitely part of the lifestyle, and the lifestyle that I've always seen. Not everybody is used to having a trench coat and an opening it up to sell tickets at a concert, but, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah, usually when I put on a trench
coat.
You're like, you don't wear anything underneath. Yeah, that's usually the only reason to wear a trench coat these days.
I mean, that's why you're not allowed in the park anymore.
Or near the school.
Yeah.
All right, next part of the question, which is there a specific writer or / artist that you would love to see run with the character? I love this question. This is great.
Oh yeah, like Donnie Cates, like because I know Donnie, and Donnie like went to this like we have this weird connection of he went to the same high school as my brother. Like we've really become like Twitter friends, and like I've Skyped with him a few times for interviews. But like I think because he's a big Buffy fan, and and two, growing up similarly to what I did, I was like, I think he would have a really good version of the character.
Yeah. I think from an artist perspective, I'd say Ben Templesmith, who did he did a bit of a run on Gotham by Midnight, which is another sort of magic based one, but that was the Spectre. That was like Jim Corrigan and the Spectre, and he's got
the Spectre is cool.
He's got and his art style feels like like an old Gothic painting, and then it got left out in the rain, like the way the colors streak, and
I like that style,
it's so it's got like a real sort of Gothic horror kind of feel to it, and I think that would fit really well with Constantine. What about writers? Like, is there a particular is there any other sort of like writer that you think of that would be?
Yeah, because Johnny's a writer, it was like trying to think of anybody who could draw, but like I do enjoy, and I'm blanking on the name, like who drew Arkham Asylum. Like that would be pretty cool.
Like, like Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum. Yeah. Oh, and that art style has a lot of that sort of similar kind of like scratchy, terrifying, Gothic kind of thing. Yeah, totally.
I would love to see art-wise. I would love to see Jeff Lemire.
Ooh,
yeah.
I think that art style would be really interesting. And then, of course, I want to see a Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale Constantine.
Of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny.
Oh, it would be so good.
Yeah. God, I'm trying to think of like a writer I'd really want to see on it.
Maybe Heath Corson?
Yeah.
Heath.
I'm like Grant Morrison. I could see. I was like, I loved Happy so much, and I'm like, that could be fun. And like,
because he did a little bit of Hellblazer, right?
He did.
Yeah, a little bit, but like not very much.
Not like a full. I would love to see a dedicated series.
And I don't feel like it ever went like full Morrison either.
No.
Right? Like,
no,
it didn't go
God, no.
Like Animal Man or Doom Patrol or something like that.
Yeah, that's me. I'm like definitely more like in the happy tone, like
the weird esoteric, like Grant Morrison.
On that that Morrison note, he's writing Green Lantern right now, and when like the solicits were coming out, he was saying like, we're just gonna make him a space cop again, and we want to see what it's like to be a space cop. Issue number 3, Green Lantern arrests God. I was like, God damn it, Morrison.
That's the most Morrison thing. That feels almost too Morrison to have actually happened.
And that was him being like, we're going to keep it like back to basics. It's like Green Lantern arrests God.
I don't know why I just imagine this as a TV show starring like Damon Wayans and Nathan Fillion.
Oh my God.
Oh shit.
And Jon Stewart, and I'm like, I'm in for that. Can we make that? Nathan Fillion's old Hal Jordan. He's
my
the
God.
old grumpy cop. Damon Wayans Jr. is like Jon Stewart, and he's like the young cop Green Lantern, and like it's basically Lethal Weapon in space.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're Green Lanterns. We're colored, and we're Green Lanterns. We're green. Give me a high five.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that.
theme song already written.
Yeah, done.
I
Perfect.
live right by WB. I can just walk this over, like get a meeting.
Amazing.
Sure
Well, be careful that you don't get.
where I live.
Be careful you don't get any hijinks with those Animaniacs, though.
Oh.
They're right up there in the
I know.
water tower.
Yeah,
Richard, the
I love
Animaniacs
the
aren't real.
Animaniacs.
They're not real. They don't live in the water tower.
They're coming back.
dude,
though.
they're real because I'm Dot.
You- Boom! Boom!
Mind blown.
In your
Yeah, I
fucking
used
face
to
twice in one episode.
Richard is freakazoid.
Oh my god. No, I'm the pigeon. You talking to me?
Yeah,
Good
What a
lord.
great show.
Oh,
Oh my god.
that's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming back.
one of the best.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming back.
Oh, that's perfect.
Not a lot of the original people though. It's weird.
Oh, that makes me sad.
I gotta say,
Yeah,
like,
the voice actors are original, but not the writers.
Wow.
there are times where I get like a little like overtired of the idea of like all the nostalgia stuff that's coming out, but at the same time, it's like now I have an excuse. Like I have a better excuse rather to show
Your
my daughter
child,
all
yeah.
of the things that I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, you're like, look at this stuff. See this snood. This used to exist because that's one thing I say that I love so much was that I got to see Mark Hamill not only as Luke Skywalker and the Joker, but as the Trickster too. Because I grew up, my dad being a big Flash fan, he still to this day has this giant CBS stand with John Wesley Shipp as the Flash. That
Oh, I love it.
and so
We're
we
bringing
had
you back to talk
VHS.
90s Flash.
Oh, yeah.
We're 100% bringing you back to that.
I love that show so much. I cannot convince my wife to watch it with me.
She made you watch the Supergirl movie.
Well, I know, but I think she's learned a lesson.
Hey, was she a big All My Children fan? Because Dimitri is one of the villains.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That may work.
Well, yeah, I'll try that. It's no crazier a hook than I've tried before. So
Jesus Christ, that's
Yeah.
amazing. All right, let's go
Sorry,
to
I love soaps.
No, I mean we could do a whole
Don't-
General Hospital episode. I mean I
don't be sorry.
Oh yeah, I love,
Was it? Is it? Did you ever watch? I think it's One Life to Live that had R.J.
Oh.
Gannon.
Yeah,
I used
One
to.
Life Live is actually my favorite one, and then General Hospital.
I I spent 2 seasons at like a big Shakespeare festival in Canada working with R.J. Gannon.
That's awesome, dude.
it's
Yeah, like RJ had the moves, man. Like,
Yeah.
he was,
And he's a smooth customer in real life. He's not evil, but
Yeah.
he's very
oh
smooth.
yeah, you can go. Yeah.
yeah, he's no Sonny. Huh?
Oh, I hate Sunny. Like everyone loved me on the General Hospital show because I'm like, look, I'm just telling it like it is. Like, what is with you people in Sunny Corinthos? Like,
Right?
he is not special. Like,
No, it's all about Jax. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That accent.
Like Jax is so much better than Sunny
Oh.
in every way.
I want to.
He's coming back. I'm so.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I want to throw since we're on the topic, a very like left field question out there. If John Constantine had to make an appearance in a daytime soap, what's the one where he would fit most naturally?
Well, since Port Charles was canceled, the General Hospital spinoff
That's true.
that was about vampires and basically
Oh
sort
my
of trying
God.
to get back to Dark Shadows. Well, again, Dark Shadows is Port Charles, but if we have to go with the one still alive, it's got to be GH because they made jokes
Goddamn
about
right.
vampires and
Yep.
magic, and I do think Days would be a good fit, because Jensen used to be on there, but.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we all know it really should be Coronation Street.
There's just one episode where he like opens a demon portal
What's that man doing with the trench coat and his blonde hair? Where do you think he's from?
Nice.
Lionel.
Perfect.
Oh god. All right. Wow, this beer hit me. I'll be completely honest.
It's the whiskey and the beer.
I think it might be. All right, last question from Brandon Flick. How do you feel about Matt Ryan's live action take on John? Personally, this guy loves it. So
Now, right off the top, you sort of revealed that you love it too.
Yeah.
What is it about Matt that you love?
Well, one thing is I've had the privilege of talking to Matt about the character, and while he wasn't a fan growing up, he at least did his research, and it really showed in the character.
Yeah.
And we joked about mucous membrane long before that name drop. And that was sort of the thing. It's like, oh, like he did his research. And I think that's the thing is he's a good actor who did his research. Now, if they'll give me Padgett Brewster as Zatanna and then the relationship, great. They already have chemistry. But yeah, like I think because Matt does his job well. I mean, I can't really say anything other than that. Like he did a good job. He gets the character.
Now, what do you feel about his appearances? Like after his show was canceled, but they sort of folded him into the Arrowverse. He made a couple of appearances on Arrow and then moved to be a series regular on Legends. What did you think? What did you think about him showing up sort of in a more superhero-y context?
Yeah, when he showed up on Arrow, I wasn't quite as immersed into the other side of it, like with AfterBuzz and everything. So, like, I was just excited to get that. But when I realized that I could just have these access to these people like Sarah Nicole Jones at Legends, I just wouldn't shut the fuck up. So, like, I like to think the fact of it's like, and she did say, just keep talking about it. We're working on getting him in full time. So I think he owes me a fruit basket.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I helped you get a series regular on Legends, and Legends is the best one. It's fun. It's where he fits. It was good for him to be folded into Arrow like that.
Yeah.
Because Arrow is very similar to him and dark and grounded and fun, but, you know, having him and Stephen Amell on screen is just too difficult. They're both so
too many
pretty.
brooding blonde pretty men who are just like, oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Tommy had to die. It's like, you can't have both of them. It's just too much.
Yeah, that's true. That's a fair point.
They're so pretty. I mean, and brooding, and, you know, it's like, okay. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, where does he fit? Legends. Because,
without a doubt.
Ray Palmer's adorable. He's different.
Yeah,
it's true.
And his relationship with Sarah is so good on that show too.
Yeah, and he's the one that brought her back, and I think that was a good way to fold that in. And I like that they had sex, but you know, no, she's in a committed relationship, so he has to be the bisexual banging his way through history.
That I think we have a new tagline for Legends,
without a doubt. Yeah. I like it. All right.
Legends is fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's a show that I'm just starting to finally get into, and I'm loving every minute of it. So.
Yeah, you're not even at Bebo yet.
I know. Bebo!
Bebo!
Oh, man. I'm excited for that because, honestly, they, other than The Flash, the CW has been failing. They have failed me one too many times.
Yes.
Wow.
I will say, like, I still watch Arrow, but, like,
I'm impressed.
I just give up on.
I'm impressed that you watched Arrow.
I actually watched the 150th episode. I tuned back into Arrow for their 150th episode.
I like how none of us have mentioned Black Lightning yet, but
well, Black Lightning is really good, but like, and I think the stylized of it is actually by far the best of the shows. But it's just one of those. I'll admit, I'm a little shallow. Okay, it's like Arrow, hot Canadian star. Sorry, guys. It's just true.
Yeah.
Like Legends, and they're all pretty. Like, and it's one of those things that Black Lightning. It's like. Put Robbie and Mel on there, and then I'll probably tune over.
It's almost as if like Black Lightning has some like mustached anchor that's dragging it into the ocean, and if it just had gotten rid of that, would be.
We've discussed that we think that James Remar is like a real big weak point on that.
Call him James Rebar because that's what I want him to fall onto.
put a piece of rebar in a suit.
Yeah. It's probably a more dramatic actor. Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, I've not really watched enough to get a read on his character, but
I'm sure you already have. Did you see the cover art? That's about the same amount of acting he puts in.
Because he was so good on Dexter. I mean, I called him.
That's what I mean. Well, only because they used him as like a stiff cop father who was disapproving.
He was just there.
Imagine trying to take that character, then making him like a tailor who like knows about technology. Suddenly, it's just like, well, I don't believe this as much.
Gamby does have a lot going on.
Oh my god. That's amazing. All right, let's go to the next question, which comes from Talking Superman, who asks, has there been a part of his origin that shows a specific incident that sparked an interest in the occult? Where did the occult part come from?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I remember there's some point where they talk about like the lineage he's from, and that it's sort of like inherited that he's one of these like laughing mages or whatever they call them. But Lacretia, can you think of like a particular moment where they show like young John is exposed to magic and he's like, that's for me?
No, I think his sort of came out of the same experience I had where when you're already an outcast, like, I mean, because his alcoholic, abusive father, his mother was dead and his father blamed him because it was during his childbirth. I mean, he's clearly fucked up. Man, like, where do fucked up people go? Witchcraft and punk rock.
Yeah.
So, like, I did the same thing. I get it.
Yeah, I do kind of get the sense that he's maybe one of those people that was just like, maybe just looking to call themselves a warlock or something and then stumbled upon actual magic.
Yeah, like he was buying eyeliner and he saw some books. Like,
yeah. And I think in the New 52, when they were sort of superheroing him a little bit more than he should have been. They gave him a bit an origin where he was like, yeah, again, kind of angsty. I'm going to cast a spell, and he actually casts a spell, but he does it wrong, and it burns his house down, and he kills his parents.
Jeez.
And that was his parents shot in an alley moment. Yeah, he's heat wave, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, why have they not have more scenes? I think it's funny that they have them being like, oh, like, you're like me, so we're not going to be friends. But I'm like, can't they just reminisce about burning people? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially because Constantine, he at the very least can just like light a finger and help Mick with a cigar.
yeah,
they should be able to bond.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, other than that New 52 one, I don't know that I can think of a specific moment where it was like, and now you're a magician, like you're a wizard, Harry. I don't think there's anything like that.
You make a fine beater, Constantine.
But yeah, I mean, there is that sort of genetic kind of lineage that he comes from, like these sort of trickster sorcerers through history. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question from Old Man Jethro Tull, which seems like a double negative. I think that's implied. It's an old man.
Yeah, Jethro Tull's pretty old.
Yeah.
Like Aqualung, how long ago was that?
I love this question, which is very simply, what's his shampoo regimen like?
Yeah.
I mean,
does he use the ashes of hell?
Well, hang on. I'm bald. Richard, you have nicely styled hair. Lacretia, you have nice hair. What would you two think? I can't weigh in. I have no expertise. What would you two think?
Because I feel like soot can be made from like ash, right? So
sure.
I feel like it's the ash from hell that he uses to develop a soap bar that he can use to clean his hair. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to hair, less is more. Like, most women are really bad about burning their hair, using too much product.
True.
And that blonde bleach he's got to have, because, I'm sorry, adults really aren't blonde. I was born a blonde and eventually dark.
So you're saying it's not natural?
Yeah, like, it's not natural. He's got to keep up that appearance. I mean, like, how much do you think Neil Patrick Harris spends on hair now?
That's true. So I'm wondering what the carpet is compared to the drinks.
Yeah.
I mean, but is he? Constantine strikes me as a guy that even though he could magically color his hair, I picture him doing it out of a box.
I feel like he really just uses.
Definitely a box boy.
Yeah.
I feel like he uses.
I'm a box girl. I mean, like,
hey, nothing wrong with that.
It's whatever. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's like, it's cheaper. It's better just to do the hair out of the box, and he would do that. And I think he doesn't really look like someone who bathes frequently. Well, like, neither does Adam Carolla. There's honestly nothing wrong with that unless you smell. And the dude probably just reeks of cigarettes anyway, so what's the point?
So what's the difference, right? I feel like he uses probably, like, primarily motel, like, small bottles that he steals from...
Right, yeah.
The occasional time he does bathe and wash his hair, but yeah.
Exactly.
I think that maybe once he was like, I can get like longer life out of this dye if I use a spell, but it requires some sort of horrific blood sacrifice, and he was like, I'll just get it out of the box.
I like to think that, like, even though he is like constantly dealing with all of this dread and pain, he still gets the like no tears shampoo.
I mean, he has enough of those in his real life. Why in the shower?
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's just, he doesn't want to deal with that kind of pain. Or he uses like that. What's that horse shampoo that people really like? Mane and tail. He uses mane and tail.
Like, is this a shampoo for horses?
It is, but people really like it, so people use it. Now it's marketed towards people.
Yeah, they put it on the people.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
what?
yeah. It's called mane and tail. Have you never heard of it? I guess you probably wouldn't have, but...
Fuck you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a suave girl myself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't expend on the hair products.
I think Constantine would use not just for men because he's bisexual.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've just recently got into like the whole leave-in conditioner thing. That's
Okay.
So on some day of like it, basically my regimen is like one day I'll do regular conditioner, then the next day I don't wash my hair at all. Then the day after that I use a leave-in conditioner.
Sure.
I like to mix it up.
I hope we've answered your question.
Yeah.
I don't care. Well, next question comes from Raspberries Reviews, the kind you find on a secondhand podcast.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought that when I saw that username.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that makes me happy.
It was the natural conclusion.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So Raz asks, this is a character my wife has become a fan of.
I bet.
And, okay. And she wants
tantric sex.
Don't come into the room when I'm reading my comics. And she wanted me to ask, who is considered John Constantine's arch nemesis? Which I think we've already kind of addressed this, which is it's tough to kind of know. But and then he wants to know what is some recent stuff that she could jump into.
Right.
So the arch nemesis is something that we've kind of already addressed, which in the Hellblazer they don't really give him
he
one.
He doesn't really have one.
I mean, if you had to pick a name, I think it's Nergal, because that's the demon that damns Astra, and that's the one whose blood Constantine has flowing through him. Like that's maybe the demon he has the most connection to. But as far as being like an arch enemy, I'm not sure that even that counts.
Yeah, because like that character really doesn't pop up a lot. Like, he's talked about, but as far as like really battling, like, Superman versus Lex Luthor or Batman and the Joker, it's like Constantine doesn't really have that. I mean, you have like people like Felix Faust who you'll recognize, that'll pop up and it makes sense.
Yep.
But like, yeah.
Yeah, and certainly no one that he battles enough to be like, that's the one. It's almost like, they sort of rotate in magical characters, right? But they all come from some of them have other arch enemies, right? Like if Constantine ever fought Wotan or something, you'd be like, well, that's a Dr. Fate enemy. They all use magic. Like that's almost how Constantine feels, where they sort of rotate in these other characters. But in the New 52, he's fought Neron, who's a pretty big demon DC. That was the demon in the 90s. In the there was a series where Neron basically like trades a bunch of villains trade their soul to him for increased power, and so he's like a pretty major villain. And in the Rebirth era, like the most modern or near the Rebirth era, Constantine has sort of gone up against Neron. But again, it's more like they like rotate them in. It's not like he has like one big bad guy.
I thought it was like Mr. Smith or the Machine, no? Or digital film.
Yeah. Do you know what Hugo Weaving?
Those guys who killed his dog.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. See, all Constantine.
I was like,
films.
I knew where you're going.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Or Socrates.
Socrates was a friend.
Yeah.
God, get your shit
together.
together.
I guess it was Napoleon that was causing shit. Yeah.
He was more of just a little like annoying guy.
He's impish.
Yeah, he just really liked that ice cream.
I don't know that there are sort of like as a main arch villain. So as far as new stuff, I would say like the Rebirth era, and then immediately before that, they made a series called Constantine the Hellblazer, and that one's pretty good. Those are when they started like being like, oh, superhero Constantine doesn't work. Let's go back to what works.
Yeah. And
those books, Constantine the Hellblazer and then the Rebirth the Hellblazer, are both pretty solid.
So what's like the more recent stuff that's been happening with Constantine? Is there anything that like somebody could jump into sort of?
So I think it's Constantine the Hellblazer. That's the one where he goes up against Neron, and there's a whole story where like Neron is basically, they make him this sort of like Trumpian kind of caricature, and he's sort of like he's trying
orange demon.
He's trying to buy up soul real estate in New York City to make himself the most powerful demon in hell, and it's like and
he doesn't even want that position. He just wants to know if he can go.
No. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to be the baddest demon, terrible demon, the worst you've ever seen. I know no one knows more about demon than me.
Pretty sure that the current devil is actually from heaven.
And he has small hands.
Yeah.
That's right. Small hooves.
Small hooves. I have very big hooves. Everybody says it.
We're really breaking comedic ground here, you guys.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah. The Trump stuff is not overdone.
I know. I'm worried that we might get in trouble. I mean, this is new territory.
We're in Canada. What's he going to do?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Really breaking
Build a
new.
wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that series is pretty interesting, and that's actually like a pretty cool story because it's one of those things where you're sort of learning about like how does hell work, and it's that idea that like souls are currency, and it's a neat
Hey,
take.
do you know who else already did that?
Is it Supernatural?
You're goddamn right it is.
Yeah.
That's long been happening.
Oh,
The Crossroad
Supernatural.
Demons,
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah, like in that world, Supernatural did it is very much like Simpsons did it. Like
Yeah.
It's true. And Supernatural did it the best.
Okay, Jesus. God, put your pants back on.
You've never asked me to do that before.
I know.
I'm just
Are
saying.
you a Dean girl or a Sam girl?
First of all, I'm one. There's only one type of girl, and it's a Dean girl.
Which one is Jensen?
Okay, thank you.
Jensen is
Because
Dean.
Oh, then yeah.
There's only two types of women: Dean girls and lesbians. Like
That's. I remember when you said that on This Is Rad. That was the best line in the entire world. Oh my
I
god!
really believe that because Sammy is a bit of a chick.
It's
I'm
true.
sorry.
Without a doubt. My favorite is that they both have, at one point or another, have been possessed by demons, and so I like to call one Deanman or Salmon.
Oh, salmon.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's my favorite. But yeah, I mean, clearly, God. I heard that Jensen Ackles might be kind of an asshole, but that's totally fine. He can be a jerk
Oh,
to me.
I doubt it. He's from Dallas. Like.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, yeah. He runs a
And he's
brewery,
from
too.
Dallas.
I don't know what
Yeah,
that
he
means.
owns a brewery.
I don't know what that means. What is the Texas beef between the big cities?
Oh no, I just say like people from Texas are just automatically nicer in general. But
Okay.
I'm like, and so yeah. But I'm like, yeah, and I'm more from the north. Like I'm from Tyler, but like I lived in Dallas for a while, and I think it's great. So. it's
Well,
like,
there
it
you
makes
go.
sense. Yeah. And I'm
Awesome.
like, we won the cup in
That's true.
Yeah, and we dented the cup because Vinnie Paul from Pantera threw it off Key Carbono's roof.
Texas.
But I raised the
And
roof,
they haven't
even though
won.
No one is here.
They haven't won since.
Yeah, I know, and like that's very painful to bring up. I'm gonna have to drink some more.
Oh my god,
We have the Maple Leafs, yeah.
I'm not one to talk. I'm a Leafs fan. Yeah.
Oh.
It's been
Oh,
since
I'm so
20
sorry.
years
You're-
before I was born that they won.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, because I'm like, oh, you understand the pain.
Oh yeah,
More than anyone. I
Yeah.
think you just like the brand at this point. That's
life is pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how much it can suck for Canucks fans? I mean, they've never won. Because I remember whenever I was speaking to some people who were there to see a player, I won't reveal who, and they were his friends from where he was from. And let's just say I was sitting in the section with all of us, and it was like they were talking about how he should have been on the Canucks and all this bullshit. And I was like, well, at least we've won a cup.
It's true.
And they didn't want to talk to me after that.
Well, yeah, fair. Well, we know the Vancouver are sore losers because they rioted when they didn't win.
Here's the thing: is like I don't believe in violence unless necessary, but I do think that was necessary, and it was like the one time Canadians were ever mad about anything, so it was hilarious.
I kind of feel like it would be the opposite of Toronto won. Like if Toronto wins,
Yeah.
Toronto, like the city of Toronto burns to the ground.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like if Toronto wins the cup, they officially end Toronto.
That's true.
It's like if
It's
the
about time.
Lakers or the Dodgers won. I think we're probably glad that the Dodgers haven't won. Because it's like, yep, they've lost the last two because, yep, the city would burn.
But I love
Yeah.
that the Rams won and it's just like nobody cares at all.
Well, they lost.
Well, yeah.
we lost to the Patriots. And again, bringing up sore subjects. I'm sorry, I'm a sports fan. Goes Cowboys, Rams. And yeah, as I say, Cowboys fan. Like,
Well,
my life has been
again,
shit.
speaking as someone that knows pain, we're a Bills household.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Oh my
It's like,
god.
that's even worse. Like, at least we have, like, Romo's really funny.
No. It makes a lot of sense now why I like BoJack so much. I just like kind of live in that place.
Yeah.
Just
That's
like,
true.
Yeah.
It's too much for
Like,
me.
yeah, we used to be cool.
Oh my god! All right, let's leave Twitter and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's really the.
I mean, it's the only one that's actually not stolen from something else.
Oh my god, it is.
Yeah.
I'll have to rectify that. First question comes from the sexiest of all the residents we have.
Good God.
The real Josh Gill. God, have you been seeing the thirst traps he's been posting
they're
lately?
Not thirst traps. He just works out.
I'm sorry. You post
anyone who has the real in their name is a thirst trap.
Right? See, she gets it.
Oh, I wasn't expecting her to be on your side.
Goddamn right. I'll send you some photos of him later on. I'm just telling you, this is
yeah.
He's asking for it.
Jesus.
Josh is asking, is Constantine capable of having a healthy relationship? Could he, without having to be totally overhauled, have a healthy relationship? Or has he, as a character, been developed to the point where it's not possible?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think that when it comes to broken people, broken pieces fit together.
Oh,
Because if I like John Constantine, then I hope he can have a healthy, somewhat relationship. And I admit I'm a bit of a girl. I like Olicity, and I like Constantine Zatanna, okay?
Right.
I don't know what their couple name is, but, I can be a bit of a girl when it comes...
Constantinople.
I was like, I think you said cunt, but...
let's bleep that out.
Sorry, I was like...
Zatanastine? That just sounds like a Jewish character.
Yeah, it's like Zatanastine. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm a comedian. Oh, my God. Some of my best friends are Jews.
It's okay, I'm a Jew. It's fine.
So you are officially on board with Constantine and Zatanna as possibly meant for each other eventually. You would be okay if they got and stayed together?
As I said, Patrick Brewster, Zatanna. If you
I'm so on board with that.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Brewster. Oh.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she already has chemistry with Matt Ryan that was displayed on Criminal Minds. So.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Oh,
I watch that show a lot.
I'm up for that.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that Constantine could find someone, but it's one of those things where it's also just knowing how comic books work. It's it would never last. They don't let Batman get married. Batman's been around for 80 fucking years. They reluctantly
Batman's not allowed to be happy.
They reluctantly let Superman and Lois Lane have a family. But they always have to throw a wrench in there, her dad hates him and shit like that. But I sort of suspect that the powers that be will never let Constantine get there unless they do a thing where, with the Question or some other legacy character where they let Constantine age out and maybe he has an apprentice or something. Unless they did that, I don't see them letting him be happy.
No, because this is comics and no one's ever allowed to be happy.
Yeah. Which sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're wrapping up TV. I mean, they could do that there. But really, for characters like that, I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to kill Oliver Queen off. So it's
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping that it happens during Crisis next year.
Yeah, they were kind of leaning towards that in the
whatever deal he struck with the Monitor. Yeah.
That's me. I'm pretty sure that he is done too. So I'm he wants to be dad now. I get it.
Now, just again in terms of Constantine relationships. I know we've talked about Zatanna here, but what are your feelings about Epiphany?
I mean, I'm indifferent. There are certain relationships that I'm just that was a thing, but I don't really care.
Right? Yeah, not important to you. Not. I mean, the Zatanna one is always interesting because, if you take the stereotype of, the father-in-law doesn't like you, Constantine's indirectly responsible for Zatara dying. So, even, from beyond the grave, he's probably that son of a bitch.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question, which comes from Robbie's Just This Guy.
Oh, well, don't undersell it.
Yeah, come on. Get your spirits up there, Robbie.
He's not the real.
Amen. Robbie's Just the Guy asks, what's John Constantine's relationship with Jesus or other hippie cult leaders? I like that he's like, he bulks them together. Jesus or those other hippie cult leaders?
Well, I mean, Jesus was a hippie. I mean, he wore the sandals. He had the
long hair. Yeah,
hair.
it's true.
I mean, he's sort of... That's what's funny about a lot of hippies is, like, they don't acknowledge him as the savior, but they dress just like him.
That's what I mean.
Like,
he wandered around the desert as if it was like Burning Man, I think.
He's a fashion icon.
Yeah. So he has a relationship with Jesus.
It's more like his general relationship to religion. Like Constantine, the rules of magic that Constantine exploits are like sometimes written in the Bible or things like that. Like a demon can only do it's the idea that he's like exploiting these sort of rules of heaven and hell.
Yeah,
but I mean, his relationship to heaven is at best contemptuous. I think
that's true,
and that's sort of the thing, is much like any sort of occult-like figure, that their relationship with religion is actually more like acknowledging of, its existence more so than people who are like, agnostic and things like that. But then also just like, very contemptuous of it with knowing it. Like,
and I mean,
God is real, but he's an asshole.
And even to throw the movie in there, like in the movie when he kills himself as a sacrifice, and then that's what gets him into heaven. As he's ascending to heaven, he's flipping off Satan.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't give a shit about heaven's rules. Fuck you, Satan. Like he's just, and that's actually a really great moment in that movie too.
That's the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. And I think that's a good illustration of that character too, is he's like, great, I'm about to reap all the benefit. I don't give a shit about playing by the rules to get there. Like,
that's amazing. So he says other hippie cult leaders. What other
hippie cults? I mean, I can't imagine that Constantine would have signed up for Jonestown or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, has there...
Except just to fuck with them. I mean,
well, yeah, of course.
I could see him hanging out with David Koresh, who also went to the same high school as my brother and Donnie Cates.
Yeah,
Shout out
what?
Wow, I'm just here for the punch.
So has there been interaction with other cult leaders and things like that?
They always have made up cults and things like that in the comics.
Like that.
But he's usually breaking them up.
Yeah, and that's what I would think. I hope they explore on Legends. Constantine maybe going to some of the more notable cults, because like he's the type of person that would come in and like flip it. I mean, like Scientology would be hilarious.
That would be. I was just going to say that would be amazing.
Yeah, let's get an episode where Constantine like punches out Tom Cruise.
That's really
Can
fun.
we get him to call Tom Cruise a twat on Legends?
I like that.
Yeah.
All right,
Lacretia, what poll do you have?
Yeah, it's true. She can bring him in. She can make that happen.
I could tweet. Does he have a Twitter? No.
All right. This next question should be from somebody that understands Constantine a little bit.
Okay.
The username is Hellblazer Cosplay.
Oh. Well, how about that?
Yeah. And they ask, what were your main problems with the NBC show? Why do you think they chose Zed instead of a more interesting character like Epiphany, Mercury, Nick, or Zatanna? Do you think he'll show up in the DC Universe's Swamp Thing show, since that's where he originally appeared in 1986, which I didn't even think about, but that's a great question.
Yeah. I would love for him to show up on Swamp Thing, but I don't see it happening with him on Legends, because I understand the complexities of these contracts. I mean, and I hate that, but like I'm glad that there is a Swamp Thing show, and maybe eventually that could happen, but it does take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but yeah, like I thought Zed was fine for the show, but to me, the show being on NBC, and being as it was, I think, a little before Grimm, had it come out when Grimm came out and they were paired together, I think it would have fared better, just because, like, same audience.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest problem was the fact that NBC wasn't the right place for it. Like, I don't think it had anything to do with the particular storylines. I mean, he wasn't allowed to smoke, but that far had more to do with it than Zed. I was like, it was interesting that they picked somebody like that because, too, certain things, it's like they couldn't have picked Zatanna probably because of DC Comics rights and things like that. So, like, you're not expecting that. But, yeah, as I say, Epiphany is just, like, whatever to me. So I'm like, I didn't really think it was weird that they picked Zed.
Yeah. I think for me, even though I love a good Easter egg, I think maybe my problem with the Constantine show is they kept trying to, like, hint at or set up things that were more superhero-y. It was like from the get-go they didn't believe in the premise, right? Like Jim Corrigan is in that show. You get like visions of him becoming the Spectre and stuff like that. Yeah, Dr. Fate's helmet is in Constantine's like lair or whatever. Like it's almost like from the get-go they didn't believe in what makes Constantine good. They were like, we better set up or better leave the window open for some fucking superheroes because otherwise the show's not going to fly. And it feels like they already had a foot out the door a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. Let's go to we're leaving Instagram. We're heading on over to the emails.
Check the email.
I hope it's from a female. Question comes from
I've never seen you look so embarrassed in my life.
That one was a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah.
First question comes from Robert, who asks, only knowing the Constantine from the TV single season series, Justice League Dark, and the Keanu Reeves movie, and the story of his girlfriend's addicted to Dream Sand, what would be a good trade to jump into reading? P.S. You guys ever notice that producer Richard looks like a young George Lucas? What? Sorry, that's side tangent. I mean, a little bit.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a bunch of shitty movies.
And I'm gonna
fight over.
I'm gonna mark great off you first.
Yeah, but I'm gonna retool those movies and add a bunch of stuff you don't want to see.
Yeah, you want to see Hayden Christensen as a Force Ghost?
No, I don't.
They're too fucking bad. It's on TBS, and you gotta watch it.
Yeah, okay, so someone that has only seen like the Keanu movie and like the
Justice League Dark
and the NBC show, and yeah, maybe that Justice League Dark. Is there a particular recommendation of a story to jump in on, or a single issue, or something like that?
Anything from Hellblazer, I think, would be my first recommendation. But
so, like, all of Constantine, your recommendation is anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. Just all of it. I mean, like.
It's true.
Well, like I mentioned before, the movie is loosely based on a story called Dangerous Habits. So if you enjoyed the movie and you want to see like where elements of that plot came from, that feels like a natural jumping on point. If you liked the Justice League Dark cartoon, then read Justice League Dark, like the comic book from the New 52 that featured Constantine, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Deadman, like all those kind of characters. It's sort of like a bit of a like dark magic superhero team, basically.
Yeah, that's why we need Deadman live action, and I've been saying Timothy Olyphant as Deadman should be a thing.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it, where they're going to put it. I don't care. Just make it happen.
I could see that going, like, fitting in with the Swamp Thing show. I could also see it somehow fitting in with Doom Patrol.
Oh, yeah. Doom Patrol looks so fun. I need to get that app, I guess, to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, that first episode is awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's as simple as that. If you like the thing, you should maybe just try to read the thing that it's loosely based on. So whether that's Dangerous Habits or Justice League Dark, yeah, I would just say go for it. Give that a go. See if you like it, and if you don't, just try something else. There's such a long history of Constantine, and for the most part, like New 52 generally as an exception, it's all pretty good. So it's not like you can steer too wrong, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty well the same character throughout, so
yeah.
If you like the character, you'll like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. All right. Well, the last question, which is from Jesse PCP, also known as Puff Cheek Pastries, makes lots of food, makes delicious treats for me. I wish I could cook. Wow, what a way to end it.
Yeah, can you guys sell that to make a jingle for an ad?
Oh my God.
Holy shit, could we have been making money on this?
Could we? Wait, this is a podcast. There's no making money in this.
That's what the Patreon is for.
That's right, you cucks.
Jesus. Stop calling the listeners cucks.
It's so much fun, though.
At least you said cucks this time.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Doc. Jeez.
Oh, come on. It was an accident. Because I was saying Constantinople. God damn it.
Don't take my your nickname for me and talk about it on the podcast. Constantinople. Nobody's problem about the Turks. So the question from Jesse is, canonically, that's always when you know it's a nerdy question, when it starts canonically.
Yeah. In episode 17, you were seen riding a wizard did it.
Yeah.
I'm like pushing up my glasses.
Because Speed Force.
When you see something like that, a wizard did it.
Yeah, that's right. So Jesse asks, canonically, is it true that he is the only aging comic book character in DC? It's important to his character that he is the age he is due to growing up in a particular time in a particular area in the UK, correct? If his character was rebooted / retconned, do you think that growing in a post-grunge era and living in that political climate would influence his way of thinking and personality? Or should his punk roots stay consistent?
Right. So does it make sense for a modern Constantine not to be rooted in that, like, post-Thatcher or, like, sort of, like, Thatcherism of, like, Britain?
Yeah, does it keep working, right? Like, as the years go on.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
remember with The Simpsons when they started making them, like, they grew up in the 90s and it, like, got real weird?
I mean, to me, like, shit has not necessarily gotten better since the 80s, right? So, like, I think you can just transpose whatever he's rebelling against from then to whatever he's rebelling against now. You know, if you have to pick something specific, pick fucking, like, UKIP and like Brexit and like those assholes or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. With Brexit going on, I'm like, modern times is probably more like it was than the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
it's true. Yeah, it's true. I think, I don't know if he was the only one that did it, but Constantine does stand out as a character that aged like with his comic books.
Yeah.
Like he was the age that he was if he came out in like X year. 10 years after that, he was 10 years older. And that was, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's pretty unique to Constantine, but there are a couple of examples of comics trying to do, like in the New 52, they tried to keep track of like how many years had passed, but then it was like, it was going too fast. They were like, this doesn't work. We can't do this. Constantine was pretty consistent with that though. Yeah, I don't know. I think I agree with Lacretia. I think it makes maybe more sense now. Like, I think there's always something shitty to rebel against, right? And basically since like Nixon, you can at least play on the idea that like we know our politicians are corrupt. We don't just blindly trust the news. Like all of those things that you took for granted in the 50s and 60s, that like the newsman is like where you get the truth, and like all of those kind of like stupid fucking ideas, they're dead now, right? Like, so I think anything post Nixon is like kind of fair game. You can always find something. There's always a war being fought for the wrong reason. There's always poverty, and there's always corrupt politicians and things like that. Like I think you can make Constantine work because of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the end of the question portion, which luckily, normally I just like surprise the guest with this, but I figured I would be at least slightly a gentleman and give a heads up to Lacretia. We're on to this week's Dial Dog, which is... do you want to explain what this is, Doc?
Sure. So there's a thing in DC Comics called the H Dial, or Dial H for Hero. And
is this a book series you're aware of, Lacretia? The Dial H for Hero?
Not really.
It's super cool because it was is it originally from the 80s, Doc?
No, earlier, like the 70s, possibly even the 60s. But basically, it was like it's this rotary dial, and if you dial Hero, it turns you into a random superhero for an hour, but not like it doesn't turn you into Superman. It turns you into like a made up superhero. So they used to do it where like people would write in their shitty ideas and you would do it for like 2 pages of a comic book, something that could never sustain its own book, but it was their way of sort of rotating through weird ideas.
And like that fans could send in their ideas and have them like be incorporated into the series. So I always thought it was really cool. So we try to do it on our own every week. We try to randomly come up with a character. The Doctor is desperately looking around the room to try to get inspiration for his character. I have one, so I'll kick it off this week.
Kick it off.
Which my character's name is Three-Way.
No, I already don't like it.
And
Filthy.
yeah, well, it's me. Any two, basically this character, any two people that they touch get the life experience and knowledge from the other person.
Okay. Right.
Wow.
So he can basically swap their knowledge.
Yeah.
Or they I see, yeah. So it's not Freaky Friday. They like would both get what the other has.
Yeah.
In addition to what they have.
Yeah, so if it was like
isn't that what Martian Manhunter does?
I mean, Martian Manhunter could make it work with his telepathy.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But that's not as...
Yeah, you derivative bitch.
Not as...
Try again, Richard.
His name is a hard drive. You can get data. All right, Lacretia, I gave you a little bit of a heads up. Do you have a character?
Well, I'm looking at my dog, whose name is Zephyr, and I'm like, I would like to have it be the Zephyr. And it's basically just goes around breaking wind. Zephyr means west wind. And so basically it's sort of a trickster character that basically just steps in on inappropriate situations with the fart to either diffuse the situation or ruin it.
I love it. Amazing.
And as he's going around, is there's the song like, come on, found my Zephyr?
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a good reference.
That's where her name comes from. Yeah.
That's the most famous use of the word Zephyr.
Yeah.
It actually probably is.
Yeah.
All right. I've got one. Mine is called Shock Jock.
Oh.
It's my dad.
I'm sorry, is your dad a shock
Is
jock?
your dad actually a shock jock?
He was, yeah.
Oh my god,
No
really?
way.
What was it? Did he have a shock jock name?
Hot Toddy.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Nice. Well, I don't know if your dad has this power or not, but my shock jock basically can conduct and create electricity with his penis.
Well, you know what? That does explain why me and my brother are electrified.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
Taking the world by storm.
Yeah, shock jock can,
Yeah, he could be Todd Lyon as his real name. Like, you can just use that for your, alter ego.
I love that. That's amazing. He's like, I need more power. He can stick his dick in a socket, and then he gets.
Does that
more
work?
power. Well, for him,
Yeah.
Richard, do not try
I
this.
feel like this might work.
Richard, no,
Yeah.
Hold on, you guys.
Yeah.
no, Richard.
My dad is a bit of a con. I would not recommend it.
It's too late.
I'm now
Yeah.
the only
Well,
host. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, he died. Because, sticking your dick in a light socket. I saw that on Family Guy. It didn't really work out.
No, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think I just did it wrong the first time. Hold on.
No, Richard.
Oh, God! Oh my god, that's amazing. So Lacretia, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Before we go, do you have anything to promote? Or can people get a hold of you online?
Yeah, since I'm Lacretia Lyon, guys, you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. Yes, I've said that 1,000 times.
Okay, I can tell.
I have my podcast, Mrs. Brightside.
That's right.
Every Tuesday. You can download that iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever, you feel inclined to download it on. It's on all of them.
That's amazing.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Constantine and answer some silly questions and generally just sort of geek out a little bit.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. We'll talk to you later, but we appreciate you coming on.
All right, yeah. Thanks again.
All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Beyond that, we would love to hear what type of characters you guys can come up with, if you think it's possible to potentially beat the level of characters.
I mean, nothing is better than Zephyr or Shock Jock. Yours is kind of shitty.
I'll show you a three-way.
Not again.
But we would love to hear the type of characters you can come up with, or if you just want to ask questions. Do we know what the next episode is yet?
Yeah, the theme for next week, we're going to be talking about Black characters.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's the end of Black History Month. It's literally the least we could do is talk about Black characters in DC.
Haven't we already done that?
From Jon Stewart to Black Lightning.
Wow, it took us this long.
We did a general diversity episode, but specifically, we're going to talk about Black characters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You mean like Constantine, because he's so dark.
No.
No, oh, no, I don't understand.
No.
I don't see color. I don't.
Ugh. Fucking Howard Schultz. What a stupid asshole.
If you want to send us questions for that episode that's coming up, you can do so through our various social media platforms, such as our Facebook account,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our Twitter,
at Dr. DC,
our Instagram,
Dr. DC Podcast,
our email,
drdcpodcast@gmail.com.
Also, you can hang out on our subreddit,
r/Dr_DC.
And don't forget, you can not only talk to us, but you can also read some articles that we have on our website,
drdcpodcast.com or .ca.
Got some merch on there too. And don't forget also that you can call us. The doc phone is now open. Leave voicemail at 208-917-DCEU. What's that number again?
208-917 3238.
Yeah, I know, because I flipped it because I wanted to see if you could remember it.
3238. Also, you test me on the podcast.
Also, there was no Earth K. I made it up.
No.
Oh my God! He slit his throat. Jesus Christ! And don't forget, we have Patreon. Every single week we produce another episode of Dr. DC, and it's not always DC related.
Sometimes I ruin my Valentine's Day with my wife to do it.
That's true. If anything, you probably improved it. At least you included other people as part of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it also distracted from how disappointing I am in the bedroom.
Hey man, you're having sex while you were recording?
Shut up! My parents listen to this.
Now you need to listen to
They
that
don't know where their
episode.
granddaughter came from.
They're not paying for Patreon. It's fine.
This isn't the free one? Or this is the free one? Oh, I'm so confused.
Yeah, this is the free
3238 DCEU.
But we recently did an episode with a fan of the show,
Yes, that's right.
Stump Chunkman. So you guys got to go on and listen to that one. That was a really good one. We talked about all the Avengers movies.
That's right.
So we don't just talk about DC, we talk about Marvel a little bit too. We can also hear our predictions for all of the amazing content in 2019 from DC.
Mm-hmm.
And we of course the infamous Alfred Begins pilot you can listen to.
Maybe the greatest thing we've ever made.
Yes, including your child.
We?
I mean,
your role in that was, I'd say, non-existent at best.
Just because I was on the other side of the wall doesn't mean that I wasn't a part of it. And also, don't forget, if you love this amazing content, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Give us 5-star review, and we're trying to get to 30 episodes. We're at like 25, 24 right now.
30 reviews. Yeah,
yes, 30 reviews.
We're very close. When we get to 30, we're gonna make a video episode.
Yeah. So if you want to see me in my like human skin outfit,
and the theme for that episode will be mud wrestling. So
I mean, obviously.
God, I hope that works. I hope that's a good sell.
Now it's not just implied; it's going to be the theme. So leave your review and then subscribe to our Patreon and listen for this episode and the next one next week, which is Black characters.
That's right.
Not just Batman.
No. Well,
No.
he's not.
He's a Dark Knight.
No.
All right.
That's not what that means.
Same Doc time, same Doc channel. Ciao, ciao.
Adios.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.